So chi-square test, basically, there are many types of chi-square test. Each has been named behind a specific purpose based on the null hypothesis and based on the study design. So I'm not going into the very detailed theory of the chi-square because our basic aim of this workshop is to how to put the command, how to understand when to put what type of chi-square command and how to interpret the result, and then how to make it in a tabular form, that is the APA style table, and then write the interpretation. So the chi-square test, the first type of chi-square, which is the most commonly used chi-square, that is known as the chi-square test of association or chi-square test of independence. Both these are synonym and both these convey the same meaning. So the first type is chi-square test of association or chi-square test of independence. The second is the chi-square test of goodness of fit. This is a one sample non-parametric test, and we will see it subsequently what is a chi-square test of goodness of fit. The third type of chi-square is the chi-square test of homogeneity. We call it as a two proportion test also. So in today's session, we'll discuss all these three types of chi-square. So let's begin. First, we will do with the chi-square test of association. Then on that demo file, that exercise file of SPSS, you will practice this test, putting the command, writing the interpretation, and then we'll move to the next test, that is the chi-square test of goodness of fit. So we will follow the same rule which we followed yesterday. Till I am showing you the command, you will see it patiently. In case of any query, I'll once again repeat the command. Then in the breakout room, you will practice those commands on your exercise sheet, which has been given to you people. Is it fine to all of you? Should we move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we will start with a research question. In descriptive, generally, there is no research. I mean, there is a research question in descriptive also, but generally those research questions are in descriptive, like what is the proportion? And most of the time, we don't form any questions for descriptive because descriptive statistics are inherent part of any research method. Generally, we form research question more in if it is an inferential statistics when we are, trying to project something, because in all our thesis, because most of you are the postgraduate students, or where we, even if we are faculties, we are trying to estimate the population parameter. Seldom we do the descriptive statistics alone. Obviously, as I said, the descriptive is an inherent part of any research because you are going to describe the sample which you have gained from that population. So the research question, the common research question is like, if you want to know whether there is any relationship between the gender, that is the male and female, and gender is a which type of variable. We talked about gender yesterday. You can unmute and answer.
Nominal.
Nominal. Why it is nominal, Manoja? Why it is not ordinal?
Ma'am, there is no order.
Okay, yes, very good. So it is a type of nominal variable, and then with the history of cardiovascular disease, whether disease is present or disease is absent. If this is a research question, if I want to see whether it is more in male or more in female, this can be one sort of research question. So basically in chi-square test of association or independence, we are testing the association. The second research question could be, if I want to see the relationship between the BMI categories. The BMI categories could be the normal, overweight, or obese. And I want to see the history of cardiovascular disease status. So that could also be a research question. The third type of research question would be association of surgical technique X and surgical technique Y and occurrence of surgical site infection. So again, this is a type of association question. The next research question could be, if I want to see the association between the quality of sleep, which the two categories are the good versus poor, and academic performance, that is also the good versus poor of medical undergraduates, then also this is a type of association research question. So in all these research questions, what you have found out, that there are two or more than two categorical variable, and we are trying to find the association between these two variables. So what could be the appropriate statistical test for such research question if I want to see the association between categorical variable, because we know that ordinal and nominal, both these are clubbed together and we call it as a categorical variable because it has got a category. So if I want to see the association between categorical variable, the correct choice of the test is the chi-square test of association, also known as the chi-square test of independence. Is it clear to all of you up till this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then we will move further. But we have to be very cautious because association doesn't say about the causality. What do I mean by saying this? That if there is an association between the gender and the onset of maybe male, if you find that male has got more onset of cardiovascular disease, that doesn't mean that the gender male is causal for CVD, because you must have read in the epidemiology that for causality there is a Hill's criteria, and we need to satisfy all that 8 criteria, which is further, we have reduced those criteria to 5. Then only if you fulfill those criteria, then only we can say that it is causal in nature. So we have to be very cautious that association never mean causality. That's why the chi-square test, which we will do today, that only tells you about the association and the degree and strength of association. That's it. It doesn't say that the particular factor X is a causal for an outcome or another variable, that is Y. So now in all the tests which we have to apply on SPSS, we have to fulfill some basic assumptions, because I've told you that data set is in numbers and computer doesn't understand. Even if you put mean for a categorical data of 1, 2, 3, it will give you a mean of 1, 2, 3, although it is in category. So you have to be very cautious while you give any command in SPSS. And before giving any command in SPSS, there are few underlying assumptions. So let's see these assumptions one by one. So the first assumption is there should be 2 nominal variables. Means both the variables should be categorical in nature. I have written here nominal, but take it as a categorical. So it should be a categorical variable, both the variable. Then there should be independence of observation. Now, what do I mean by independence of observation? Independence of observation means if one person, if you have counted in one category, he cannot be counted in the other category. Like if there are males and females, so if you have assigned one person as one gender like male, the same person cannot be labeled as female. So that is known as the independence of observation. So there should be independence of observation. Then generally chi-square test is applied in cross-sectional sampling. So if you are doing a cross-sectional study design, when you are measuring the risk factor or maybe the exposure and outcome at the same point of time, then it is the most suitable test to apply. And the fourth and a very important assumption is that all the cells, because in chi-square test, we form a contingency 2 by 2 table. It can be 2 by 3 table or 3 by 3 table, depending on the number of categories or number of levels of that category. So the minimum cell frequency in each cell should be at least 5 or more than 5, or if it is you have got a 4 by 4 table or 3 by 3 table, then at least 80% of the cells should have minimum cell frequency more than 5. If it is not the case, then you have to use the Fisher exact value of that chi-square test, which comes as a same output. We will see it later. You don't have to apply a separate Fisher exact test, but it comes in the same table. But you have to take that value if the cell count is less than 5. So again, I'll repeat, there are 4 assumptions of chi-square test of association. The first is both the variables should be of categorical in nature. The second is there should be independence of observation. That means if you have counted one person in one category, that person cannot be counted in the other category. The third is it is most commonly suitable for a cross-sectional type of sampling. And the fourth is the minimum cell count in each cell should be at least 5, or if not, then at least 80% of the cells should have the minimum cell count more than 5. If it is not the case, then you should take the value of Fisher exact test from the output table. So now, what is a null hypothesis? So null hypothesis in this case is that there is no association between the two variables. So that we know whenever we form a null hypothesis, we say that there is no association, and the alternate hypothesis is there is a relationship between the two variables. So the contingency table, it is also known as the 2 by 2 table or cross tab, and it is an arrangement where the data is classified according to 2 categorical variables. So the chi-square test, you can see here that the gender is male and female, and the cardiovascular disease is no and yes. So this is a which type of chi-square table? This is the contingency table 2 by 2. If you see the next table, the BMI categories, the BMI category has been classified into a normal, overweight and obese, and cardiovascular disease into presence or absence of cardiovascular disease. So it is a 3 by 2 table, and again there can be a 3 by 3 table, 4 by 4, etc. So it depends on the categories, the level of categories. You can form a 2 by 2 table, 2 by 3, 3 by 3, and so on. So this is the same. We have discussed this, all these assumptions. So this is just the repetition. So now let's run this test on SPSS. So I'll show you the commands, how to do this test on SPSS. And there are few exercises. So we will show you all the 3 types of table here, the 2 by 2, 2 by 3, and 3 by 3. And there is one more concept, which is the Kramer-V concept and adjusted studentized, that I will tell you while doing the commands for chi-square test. So now first I'll discuss about the data. So if I see the SPSS data, so this is my data sheet. So is the screen visible to all of you, that data sheet? So first I'll describe the data. So you can start seeing it from here. First is the ID of the patient, then age of the patient. Here you can see the label, identification code, age in actual years, gender, again it is just label is gender. Decimal, since all the values are in categories. None is a continuous variable. You can see here, except age, all is in, you can see, it's a type of nominal variable. We discussed that it is by the icon flower. So it's a 3-petal flower. So that's how it is a nominal variable. Input here, it was not changed, but you should change it to none, because role is there, input in everywhere. The other things are okay. then you should see the coding also. Values, if you see, so 1 is for female and 2 is for male. Then this 1 is for rural and 2 is for urban. Because that coding is important. Then this 1 is for white, 2 is for black, and 3 for others. And this socioeconomic status is again 1 for low, 2 for medium, and 3 for high. And BMI category is 1 for normal, 2 for overweight, 3 for obese. And then the cardiovascular disease status is 0 for no and 1 for yes. So now we'll see the question. So this was the variable view. And then if I see the data view, this is the data view. So we discussed about this general SPSS interface yesterday also. And I think you are now finding it in a more convenient way, and that interface must be very easy for you. And yesterday also we discussed about two things like how to transform and compute, recode into the different variable. So all these things, how to make category. So we have seen all these commands yesterday. So now showing you the questions. So if you go to the question, so for chi-square test of association, we have to perform 3 questions. I have to show you the commands of 3 questions. The first is gender and cardiovascular disease, which is the gender is a 2 category, male and female. Cardiovascular disease status is a 2 category, present and absent. So it will be a 2 by 2 table. The race and CVD, race has got 3 categories. You have seen white, black, and others. And again, cardiovascular disease is 2, so it will be a 3 by 2 table. And race and BMI is a 3 by 3 table, because race is again 3 category and BMI is also 3 category. So we will see this one by one, how to give the command. And the most important is how to write the interpretation and how to enter the values in a table. So I'll go to the SPSS sheet. So there is a command of analyze. So can you see this analyze? And if you come to this descriptive, there is a command of descriptive statistics. So this descriptive, click. So descriptive we did yesterday. Remember, we have done the options of descriptive yesterday. So today I have to do the cross tab. So you go to descriptive and you can see the 4th option, that is the cross tab. So this cross tab, click on this. I will reset this because I was giving some command. So now you can see 2 things here. There is a column there is a row and there is a column. So there are 2 things here to remember at this point. You should always give the dependent variable in the column and independent variable in the row. So you can remember it by mnemonic DC. There's a DC current and there is a AC current. So DC is the dependent, should be in the column. So the dependent variable here is what? I want to see the gender and CVD. So the presence or absence of CVD is a dependent variable and the independent variable is the gender. So what I will do, I'll transfer this gender to the row because it is an independent variable, and I'll transfer this to the column because it is the dependent variable. So is it clear to all of you up till this point? I've gone into the analyze and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
and this dependent and independent variable is, we will do more about it in epidemiology. But if you just remember the concept, the independent variable are the variables against which we are trying to see the association of some outcome. So here we want to see the presence or absence of cardiovascular disease or in the 2 gender. That's why here the dependent variable is the cardiovascular disease status and the independent variable is the gender. So that's why I have transferred the gender into the row and presence or absence of cardiovascular disease in the column, because it is generally all the dependent variable, they are transferred in the column. So now there are various options here, you can see, but we will use only two options, that is the statistics and cell. We don't have to use any other option in this cross tab. So go to the statistics. You can see here there are many headings under which we can check the box. So first only check this chi-square, and then there is another value, this phi and Kramer V. So this phi and Kramer V tells you about the magnitude of association. The value of chi-square tells you about whether there is association or not, significant, and this phi and Kramer V tells us about whether there is a moderate association, where there is a high association, or where there is a low association. There is a category of the value, we'll see it, and then press this button, continue. Then go to the cells. So in chi-square, generally what is the null hypothesis? Null hypothesis we have formed that there is no association between the two variables. So in chi-square, it gives you two sort of frequency. There is an observed count and there is an expected count. So observed count is what? That you will see here in 2x2 table. And expected count, it calculates, and this SPSS calculates in the background taking the null hypothesis. So whatever expected count you will see, that is based on the null hypothesis that there is no association, and SPSS does this in the background. So you have to, in actual table, you don't have to enter the expected count, but just to show you, I have clicked it here, and whenever you have to click the percentages, always click the percentage, that is the row-wise percentage. We generally show the percentages in the row-wise manner, and then press this continue, and now press this OK. So if you have pressed this OK, you will have this output. So this output you can see, first is the case processing summary, which will show you the total number of study subjects which you have taken in your study. And then it will show you the missing value if they are there or not. And then this cardiovascular disease status, the female, yes and no. So you can see here that the females, 40% of the females, you can see this is the percentage. So the expected count is 22 and 40, whereas the observed count is 30 and 33. So I've told you that you don't have to go into the detail of the expected count, but just to tell you a brief concept that larger the difference between the expected and observed count, then you will have that significant chi-square value. So you can see here that the chi-square value is 6.288 with 1 degree of freedom, and this p-value, it is the significant because its value is 0.012. So again, in the chi-square, you can see here, it shows you in the footnote of this chi-square test, it tells you about the minimum expected cell count. So you can see here it writes that 0 cell have expected count less than 5, and the minimum expected count is 22.0. Okay, so here all the cells are above 5. So if you just go back and recall about the assumption, so the first assumption was both the variables should be categorical in nature. So gender and presence or absence of cardiovascular disease, both these are categorical in nature. So we can apply chi-square. That first assumption is met. The second assumption is independence of observation. That is more of a study design issue, and we assume that the independence of observation must have been maintained, that the one individual is counted only against one category. And then the third was it should be generally a cross-sectional study. That is again a study design issue. And the fourth is the minimum cell count in all the cells should be at least 5. So we have met this assumption, because if you'll read this, then it is writing that the minimum expected cell count is 22.20, which is much higher than the 5. So this is the chi-square test is significant. So there is a significant association between the gender and the cardiovascular disease status, the presence or absence. Now, on the down, you can see here there is a value of phi and Kramer V. So the phi and Kramer V, if you see 0.18, so it tells you about the degree. So if it is still 1 to 0.3, 0.1 to 0.3, it is of moderate degree. So it is a moderate degree of association. And then you can see here how to write this in interpretation. So you can see there are two values, phi and Kramer V. Generally, we take value of Kramer V because phi is only used if there is 2 by 2 table. So if there is a 2 by 3 table, 3 by 3 table, then you have to use Kramer V. But here, since we have got 2 by 2 table, so both the value of phi and Kramer V, that's why it is coming the same. So you can take either of the value. So this was the interpretation after putting the chi-square test.
Ma'am.
Yes,
sorry, ma'am.
yes.
Ma'am, you said that in this study, the expected count was less than 5. I am not able to understand this.
No, expected cell count was not less than 5. I am saying that in the cell, the expected count should be less than 5. So the minimum expected count is 22.20. So it tells you that the count was much, it was not less than 5, rather it was more than 5. Because that is one of the assumption that the expected cell count should not be less than 5.
Less than 5.
Okay, so you can either check it individually here, 45, 84, 68, 125, or you can see here on this label, this 0 cells, right?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, in phi and Kramer V, the significance, what is the range you have told, ma'am? 0.1 to 0.3, ma'am.
Yes, it will. I will show you in the. It is there in the slides also. Maybe that slide is later. If it is up till 0.1, it is of low. If it is till 0.1 to 0.3, it is moderate, and 0.3 to 0.5, it is a good association. So that is there in. Yes.
And here the value is 0.012, ma'am, approximate significance.
Just let me like.
Analysis.
It's 0.1, 0.18.
Oh,
This
ma'am.
is significance.
Oh.
You don't have to see the significance. It is the
Okay,
value which is
value
important.
0.180. Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
yes,
Clear.
yes, yes. It is the value which is important, or not the significant.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Okay.
Dr. Poonam here, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, in the chi-square like output view, we have that asym significant two-sided and exact significant. What does it mean, ma'am? Like 3 columns are there.
Oh, yes. So
Yeah.
in the hypothesis testing, you must have read that there are two sides of hypothesis. We can either assume that the male has got lesser incident, less cardiovascular disease, or female has got less cardiovascular disease. So you can form either a one-sided hypothesis, or you can be open-ended. Female can have more or less, both. So that's the difference between a one-sided hypothesis and a two-sided hypothesis. The only difference between one and two-sided hypothesis is if you assume that it is a two-sided hypothesis, you require more sample size, and the significance value also, you can see that is same in the sense, if it is less than 0.05, whether you take the one-sided significance or two-sided significance, that doesn't matter, because it is coming significant in both ways. The difference in assuming a one-sided and two-sided hypothesis is basically more in the sample size calculation. When the two-sided hypothesis, you have to take more sample because you have to prove that it can go either in positive direction or in negative direction. So that's the hypothesis. So null hypothesis, I have told you what? That there is no association. And in that case, if you say that there is association, there can be a male can be a higher or a female can be a higher, male can be low or female can be low. So that's because association, you tell that, because here if I interpretation, how we interpret this association, we will say, if you see this table, what I will say, that the female were having less, because female 52% of the female were having the presence of cardiovascular disease, whereas the 70% of the male were having cardiovascular disease. So the null hypothesis in this case there was no association. Alternate could be the one-sided, could be, I can say that the males were having more cardiovascular disease. That will be a one-sided. And the alternate, if I want to have two-sided hypothesis, I may say that males can have more or less as compared to female, right? So that's the difference between one and two-sided hypothesis. So I'm keeping myself open if I'm having a two-sided hypothesis. And if I'm restricting myself, if I decide the direction of my hypothesis, that is the one-sided hypothesis. You will learn more about this one-sided and two-sided when we'll do the, pair t-test and independent sample t-test. But in generally, this one and two-sided, that is significance only comes when we are deciding about the sample size calculation. Otherwise, in these tables, whatever value, if it is significant with one-sided, it will come significant with the two-sided also. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mayuri.
Ma'am,
Yes.
my question is, what is the difference between count and expected count?
Yes. So the count is the observed count, right? Which you have seen in the 2x2 table. The count, it is the actual frequency which your data shows. And I've said that expected count is the count when this data, it calculates based on that null hypothesis. So the expected count is the count generated by SPSS, assuming the null hypothesis that there is no association, right? That is the expected. And observed count is the count which actually you see in the data. So larger the difference between the observed and the expected count, more the value of chi-square and greater the significance of your data. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So any other questions? If not, then we'll go to the how to write these values in the table and how to write the interpretation. So let me go again. So I was showing you the phi and Kramer V. So I think that value, oh yes, it is there. So all these commands are there in the, here also you can see observed, expected. Okay, this is the post hoc, I think, yes. So you can see here the value of Kramer V, it is there in the slides which has been shared to you. Small is up till 0.1, medium is up till larger than 0.1, but up till 0.3, and large is from 0.3 to 0.5. Okay. So now if I go to the interpretation. So this is the interpretation. So this was the table. So the table starts with the title of the table number. You can write the number of the table number 1, 2, or 3. Suitable title, association between gender and cardiovascular disease status. In bracket, you should give the total number like N193, that should have been here. And then here it's a 2x2 table. So the observed count. So you have to enter the observed count, not the expected one here. Right, expected is only to show you the interpretation that larger the difference between the expected and observed, greater the value of chi-square, and there are more chances of that 2x2 table to be significant, right? So this is the 47 and 52%, the percentage which you have seen there, the observed percentages. This is the chi-square value 6.28 with 1 degree of freedom, and the p-value was 0.012. So p-value is always expressed as a actual value which you have gotten in your data table. Generally, we discourage you to write p-value less than 0.05 because that doesn't tell us the exact p-value. So these days, you should report the exact p-value which is coming in your output. So what would be the interpretation? So one of you can read this interpretation for me. Anyone?
Yes, ma'am. A chi-square test for association was conducted between gender and CVD status. All expected cell frequencies were greater than 5. Males had a higher proportion of presence of cardiovascular disease as compared to the females, that is 71% versus 52%. There was a statistically significant association between gender and CVD status, and that's pi, right? The symbol.
Yes,
The I don't know how to read that.
that is the chi-square.
Okay. The chi-square value. How do you read it?
Chi-square, and in bracket, you should always give degree of freedom.
The okay, which is 6.28. The p-value is 0.012. There was a moderately strong association between gender and CVD status. Kramer's p-value and pi was 0.180, and the p-value was 0.02.
So is it clear to all of you how to write the interpretation of this output? Is it clear, or should I repeat it once again? So here we have seen two things. You have to report the observed cell count, the percentage of that observed cell count. You have to report the value of chi-square with the degree of freedom, the p-value, and the value of Kramer V or phi, because both the values are same for 2 by 2 table. So you can report either of them, and the p-value also. Okay. So if it is okay for you, then I'll go to the 2 by 2 table, 2 by 3 table. So our second question was,
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
What is Kramer's V is 0.18 and what is this P 0.023?
So it is showing that it is the Kramer, it shows the value of Kramer V that although there can be a case that the Kramer V, the association is strong, but that is not significant, right? So here you can see here that the association is, it is more or less like a correlation coefficient. Remember, in correlation coefficient also you have a value of correlation coefficient and you have got a significance level. We'll do that also. So the this Kramer V is more like a correlation coefficient. The value of that Kramer V tells you about the degree of association, whether it is a moderate degree, low or strong, and the p value is saying if it is moderate, it is significant or not, right? So that p value tells you about the significance of that association. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so now we'll go to the second table, second question. So that was the race and cardiovascular disease. So what I'll do, I'll again go to the analyze. In the descriptive, there is an option of crosstab. In crosstab, because the race and CVD will be there in the dependent column only, and race I will shift to the row. Then again, statistics, the chi-square and the Kramer V. This I'll click on continue. In the cells, I'll click this observe, expected, and row. Here in this case, if the table is more than 2 by 2 table, then you have to click this. There is a concept of adjusted standardized. So if the table is more than 2 by 2, you need to click this adjusted standardized, because this adjusted standardized tells you that which of the two pair is getting significant. Because if you don't click this adjusted standardized, the chi-square tells you that overall significance, but the overall significance is there between the which pair, that's the post hoc. So this as adjusted standardized tells you the post hoc analysis of the two pair. Okay, once we'll see the result, it will be more convenient to us. Okay, so then click and then press OK. So can you see this? So this is the 3 by 2 table, where in the column you can see that in the column there is a presence or absence of cardiovascular disease, and in the row it is a white, black and others. If you see the expected cell count, so this is the expected count and the first one is the observed count. Similarly, you can see there is a very less difference, 13 and 16. So difference between the expected and observed is less. Also, you can see 33 and 29, it is less. So first starting with the assumption. So again, we will revise assumptions once again. So the first assumption was both the data should be categorical variable. So race is also a categorical variable. The presence or absence of cardiovascular disease is also a categorical variable. The second was there should be independence of observation and cross-sectional study, which we are assuming that the study design is like that. And the fourth was the minimum expected cell count should be more than 5. So here you can see, I've told you that if you see the bottom line, here also it is showing that the minimum expected count is 16.21. That's why we'll take the value of chi-square, not the value of Fisher exact. And then if you come here, so if you see this, so here you can see that this is, there is a concept of adjusted residual. I told you this concept of adjusted residual. So if the value of adjusted residual, if it is more than 2, then that pair is significant. So adjusted residual, you can see what is the value of adjusted residual here? 1.1. Here it is plus and minus. So the plus and minus sign tells you whether expected is more or observed is more. So here you can see here the expected is more, and here you can see that observed is more. That's why there is a difference of sign only. Otherwise, the values are same. Similarly, the adjusted residual of these two cells are 2.6, and here it is 1.4 and 1.4. So the value of adjusted residual, if it is more than 2.2, then that particular pair is important for the significant chi-square value. Because if you don't click that, this chi-square will come. So you can see that there was association between the race and presence of cardiovascular disease, because chi-square value is 6.5 with 2 degrees of freedom, and the p-value is 0.03. And if you see the value of Kramer V, then the phi and Kramer V, you can see it is the 0.185. So this, how to interpret this, we know that you have to say the value of chi-square, the significant level with a degree of freedom, and then you have to tell the value of chi and this phi and Kramer V. So how to interpret this? So you can write here though this was a second table, association between race and cardiovascular disease. So you can see that all the observed counts are entered here with the percentages, and then the value of chi-square with 2 degrees of freedom and p-value, and then the interpretation. So one of you can read this interpretation.
Chi-square test of independence was conducted between race and cardiovascular disease status. All expected cell frequencies were greater than 5. There was a statistically significant association between race and cardiovascular disease status. Yes, Naveen?
Chi-square 2.
The chi-square value 6.58, the p-value 0.0370. The association was moderate. The Kramer V values 1.185. The adjusted residual value showed that cardiovascular disease status across black race 2.1 was responsible for the rejection of null hypothesis. That is, there is no association between race and CVD.
So here we could have written is it was rejection for null hypothesis. So we could replace it like which was responsible for the significant association, right? It has been written in the form of null hypothesis. So it's up to you how to write it. So ultimately, the main point which I want to emphasize is that this adjusted studentized value, which you have seen here, this which I have shown you that if the value is more than 2, so the value is 2.6. Yes, by mistake, I write that as a 2.1. So it is a 2.6. And this was responsible for the significant association between these two values. Means black race and cardiovascular disease that was significantly associated, right? So is there any problem with this interpretation or this writing? But this is one example. in another example, if you apply this test on your own data set, you may see that you may have more than one cell. Like here you can see it on the 2 cell. The sign is not important, plus or minus. The value is important. So you can see that, you can have more than, one cell. Means there, if it is a 4x4 table, you may have that 8 or 9 cells may have values of this adjusted studentized more than 2. So then it is only for, this is only for a post hoc analysis. Post hoc analysis we will do in the ANOVA, and whenever there are more than 2 categories, then we do the post hoc between which category it is significant. So this is a sort of post hoc analysis. Okay. So in 3x2 table. So similarly in 3x3 table also we will see. So if I go back to the data, and the third question was, I have to put the command between the race and the BMI, presence or absence of BMI. So, not presence, sorry, the categories of BMI. So I have put the categories here. Then again, same statistics, phi, Kramer, V. I will continue with this. I'll go to the cells and the same observed, expected. So you can continue and then press OK. So you will have another table that is 3x3. Here you can see. So one of you can interpret this table for me. Just see this table and tell me what is the expected, what is the value of this? You can see the value first, the chi-square and the assumptions. So one of you can tell me this. What is the assumption? Can you see the minimum cell count? Can we apply chi-square here?
Yes, ma'am. Because the minimum expected count is greater than 5. That is minimum
Okay.
is 9.53.
Okay. And if you see the value of adjusted studentized, can you see any cell with more than 2 value?
No, ma'am.
It is 0.5, 0.4, 0.2,
No, ma'am.
0.5. No. And if you see the difference also, it is very closely 18, 19.5, 18, 16, 10, 9.5, 27, 25.5. So if the difference between observed and expected, it is very less. I am not going into the statistical formula of chi-square value, that observed minus expected square by, row 1 into row 2, column into column. That I'm not going, because in SPSS, this software does everything in the background. And these days, nobody does it manually. We all do it on the software. So that's why I'm not going into the statistical concept and formulas of that chi-square and etc. So we are only learning the interpretation, putting the command in the SPSS. So now you can see the chi-square test. The degree of freedom here is 4. The degree of freedom is counted, number of row -1 into column -1. Again, that is a formula, but you have automatically calculated degree of freedom. Since it is a 3x3 table, it has got a 4 degree of freedom, but it is not significant. You can see the value of chi-square is less 2.1, and this is not significant. So if it is not significant, then there is not a much significance. Here also you can see the value of, it is of a mild, we will see the Kramer V here. No, why? Because I said that phi is only applicable for 2x2 table. So you can see it is of very low association, which is also not significant, right? So is it clear now how to write interpretation of this? So if you see the table, because that is important, entering the values, ultimately our aim is to making a table and entering the values in the table. So this is a APA style table. The table should start with the table number, the title of the table, and the sample size in the bracket. Here it is missing. So you can write N193 in the bracket. And then on the column, you can see it is the dependent variable, that is the normal, overweight, and obese. In the row, you can see the independent variable, that is a race, white, black, and others. And then it is the observed count and the percentages which are here. So while you are doing it on for your thesis or any research, you may, you don't go with the checking expected count, because that makes the value of table very heavy. So in the command, you can only check the observed, count and row wise percentages. And here you can see value of chi-square. So one of you can write the interpretation, this interpretation, can read the interpretation for me.
I am reading, ma'am.
Okay, Dr. Pramod, thank you.
A chi-square test of independence was conducted between race and BMI categories. All expected cell frequencies were greater than 5. There was no significant association between race and BMI categories. Chi-square degree of freedom value is chi-square value is 2.19 and degree of freedom is 4. P value is 0.701. The association was small. This is, I think, reference Cohen's 19.
Yes, actually Cohen defined this value of phi and Kramer V. So you may remove this also, Cohen 1988. So that's, I mean, for you.
Kramer's V value is 0.75.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pramod. So this was the interpretation of 2 by 2 table, 2 by 3 and 3 by 3. You can have more numbers. And if in case you are having a cell frequency expected less than 5, then there are two ways. Either you can report the value of Fisher exact, or you can club the category. So many a times we advise our students to club the category. Like in this case, if the sample size, and that happens with the less sample size. If you have a sample size of 40, 50, 30, and if you are making 3 by 3 table, definitely there is going to be few cells which will have an expected count less than 5. So in that case, you can club the category and then reapply the chi-square test. That is recommended, because then you will have a better interpretation of your result and data. Okay, so again, just to summarize the commands once again, you will again have these in the breakout room. So for all the chi-square, you have to go to the analyze, descriptive and cross tab. In cross tab, you have the dependent and independent variable, that row and column. So D is for C. So dependent should go in the column and independent should go in the row. And you have to only focus on these two options, statistics and cells. In statistics, you have to click on the chi-square, phi and Kramer V. And in cells, basically, for all practical purposes, even if you don't click this expected, ultimately you have to only enter the value of observed and row. But you should click this just to have a better understanding. And if the table is more than 2 by 3, more than 2 by 2, because in 2 by 2, it is clear that in which pair it is significant. But if it is more than 2 by 2, then you are not clear which pair of the association is significant. So in that case, you should click this adjusted standardized, which is a post hoc analysis of the pairwise comparison, which shows you that which of the two pair was significant in the overall significance of the chi-square, right? So that because we have got 3. So now I'll start with the second. So that first was the chi-square test of association, also known as the chi-square test of independence. Now, the second type of chi-square test is chi-square test of goodness of fit. Now, if you remember, a few of you who have done a one sample t-test, this is more like the one sample t-test. Those of you who have not done it, we will do it in this session. So it is a single non-parametric test. Means in this case, you don't have two categories, two variables. You have got only one variable. Means you have many variables, but your research hypothesis is that you want to test this variable against maybe a hypothesized, and when that hypothesized value is not there. So let's see what are the types of research question which we could have in this case. So the first research question in this case would be, this is again the variant which you have seen in the chi-square test of association. Like if I want to know whether the proportion of BMI categories of MBBS students of my AIIMS differs from national proportion, right? There is a national proportion of BMI. We know from NFHS that in this age, the proportion of obese, overweight, and normal category is what? So if I want to know that my MBBS students do the category of the obesity, overweight and normal is same as that of a national population, then we will do this one sample chi-square, or we call it as a chi-square goodness of fit. The second research question would be, if I want to know whether the surgical site infection rate of my ward is different from overall surgical site infection rate of my hospital. So if there would be some rate of surgical site infection of a hospital, if I want to know whether my ward is less or more than the hospital, then again, this test is appropriate. The third question would be whether the passing percentage of my college is significantly higher than the minimum desired. Then again, I will follow this test. So what we have observed in all these research questions, that it is basically, we want to know whether the proportion of various categories of a nominal variable or an ordinal variable, we may call it as a categorical variable, in our study follows either a known or a hypothesized proportion. So in this case, the appropriate test would be, again, we want to check whether the proportion of distribution of my study variable follows a known or hypothesized proportion. Then the appropriate test would be a chi-square goodness of fit test, which is also known as the one sample chi-square test. Now we have seen the assumptions of the chi-square test of association, and here also we will see those assumptions. So the first assumption is it is a single sample non-parametric test. The second is what is a non-parametric and parametric. We will see maybe in the coming sessions about the normality, what is normality, what is not normal. So it is known that a chi-square is a non-parametric test. So this chi-square, it is also known as the one sample goodness of fit test, or a Pearson's chi-square goodness of fit test. The distribution in this case is a single categorical variable. That single categorical variable may be of two category or more than two category. It is never said that it should be of two categories. So it may be two or more than two categories, again against a hypothesized distribution. Like if an administrator want to determine whether the equal number of people are hospitalized each day of the week, then he may apply this test. So basically there are three assumptions in this case. So the first assumption is that there is a one categorical variable, and I have said that this could be a dichotomous variable. What do I mean by dichotomous? That it has got a two category. If it has got more than two category, such variable we call as polytomous variable. So it should have either two category or more than two categories. That is the first assumption. The second assumption is that it should have independence of observation. This is the same concept which you have seen in the chi-square test of association, that if you have counted one person under one category, he should not be counted under the another category. So that is the independence of observation. The third is the same which we have done earlier, that the expected cell frequency in each cell should be at least 5. So the chi-square goodness of fit test, it compares the observed frequency in the categories with hypothesized frequency. And here the expected is the hypothesized, and the observed is what you actually observe in your data. So there can be two conditions. Either the hypothesized proportion is available, or if the hypothesized proportion is not available, then we assume that it is of equal proportion. Okay. So what will be the, just think of an example that a researcher recruited 100 individuals, and there are proportions of normal, overweight and obese. So if in the population proportion, the normal is of 50%, the overweight population proportion is 40%, and the obese population proportion is 10%, and he wants to see whether he has recruited 100 individual. So the proportion of normal, overweight and obese is the same as the population proportion of 50, 40 and 10. And I think similar exercise is there in the demo sheet also, which we will see. So this is the chi-square goodness of fit test. So this is the command of goodness of fit that we'll see later because it is there for your reference. I'll show you on the data set how to put that command. So first I'll show you the question. So the question is, you would like to understand whether the number of normal, overweight or obese participants follows the same proportion as those in the population, where it is known that the 50% of the people are of normal weight, 40% are overweight, and 10% are obese as per their BMI category. So this is the my research question I want to check. So this is against a known value, right? Because I said that you could check it against a known or a if that value is not known, then you take it as a equal category. So now what will I do? So I'll go to my data sheet. So what is so you can see here there is a BMI category, and I want to see what is the proportion of this BMI category in my sample, right? So I'll go to the analyze. Here we don't put this option of cross tab, and it comes as a option here in non-parametric. This has been there in your PPT slide as a command. So don't worry and just focus for a few minutes here on the screen. So you go to the analyze, then non-parametric, and then you can see there is an option of legacy dialects. Can everyone see this legacy dialect? So analyze, non-parametric, legacy dialog, and then this chi-square. Click this chi-square, then this window will appear. So what this window will appear? So you can see here that this is the input variable and this is the test variable. So what is my test variable? It is the BMI category. So what I'll do, I'll shift this BMI category here, and then here the expected values. So I have told you that we can have two values. If we don't have a hypothesized value, we will click this, that all categories are equal, like all 33, that BMI percentage of normal, overweight and obese. But since I have a hypothesized value of a normal as 50%, overweight as 40% and obese as 10%. So what I will do, I'll click this and I'll put this value. So now which value should I enter first? So it depends on your coding. So you should go according to the coding. If you see the coding, this is again the same data set. That's why I have not explained this data set. But if you go to the variable view and if you see the category of this BMI, then you can see here that 1 is normal, 2 is overweight, and 3 is obese. So we have to enter the proportion the way we have done the coding. So if we have coded 1 as a normal, we will enter the proportion of 1 at the first. So that's why the 50, what is the proportion of normal? That is the 50%. I have added this, then you have to change it to 40 because the overweight is the 40 and obese is the 10. So I'll enter this as 10 and add. Is it clear? So if you have added this, now you don't have to press any other command here and you press this OK. So if you press this OK, you can see here that the observed frequency was 82, 71 and 40. Whereas the expected frequency, it has calculated based on that 50%, 193 ka 50% 96.5 hoga. Similarly, because the total sample size is 193 and the 40% will be 77.2 and obese is the 19.3. So it has calculated the based on that 193, that proportion which we have said that 50, 40 and 10. So it takes that hypothesized as expected number and observed, you can see here, and this is the chi-square value with the degree of freedom. So you can see that it is significant. Now this doesn't give you the percentage. So you need to calculate the percentage. This, you know, this is the 50, 40 and 10, but this percentage you need to calculate that 82 out of 193, 71 out of 193 and 40 out of 193. So you can calculate it on the calculator. I'll just show you one percentage, that 82. And you have descriptive in you can see this from the descriptive table also, because in descriptive also, if I just put the command of descriptive, you have the percentages of descriptive, right? So you can either take it from there or you can calculate percentages from here, and then you have to enter the data here in the table. So this is the table of chi-square goodness of fit. And you can see the table should start with the table number, the title of the table. The title of the table is the comparison of observed proportion of BMI categories to the population proportion. And you can see here, this is the normal, overweight and obese category. The observed percentages are 42.5, 36.8 and 20.7. Whereas this we have set as a hypothesized or expected, that 50, 40 and 10. And you can see that there was a difference in the proportion. The expected proportion was 7.5% more. This was 3.32% more. And this was 9.3% less. So this is how you can see that it is not the same as the population, and the proportion of obese, it was almost twice as compared to the expected. Expected was 10%, whereas actually it was 20%. So you can interpret the result. The chi-square value, you can see here 24.8 with the degree of freedom 2. So one of you can read this for me, this interpretation. Who would like to read this for me?
Yes, ma'am. After, hello? Hello?
Mehar has raised her hand. Yes, please read this for us. I think there is some problem. I cannot hear your voice, Mehar. Anyone else? Mayuri?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I read?
Yes, Mayuri. Pramod, sorry, I will ask you the other table to read the interpretation.
Okay, ma'am.
Of the 193 participants recruited to the study, 82 had normal composition, 71 were overweight and 40 were obese. A chi-square goodness of fit test was conducted to determine whether participants follow the same proportion as those of population, where it is known that 50% of people were normal weight, 40 were overweight and 10 are obese as per their BMI category. The chi-square goodness of fit test indicated that number of normal, overweight and obese participants recruited to the study was statistically significant different. Chi-square degree of freedom 24.8 and p-value less than 0.005 with observed number of obese participants was almost twice than expected.
So there is one error in this interpretation. Can you point out, Mayuri? About the p-value.
P-value. They have not.
I said that you should not write generally the p-value.
Ma'am, p-value was 0.000.
Okay, actually, if it is 0.000, if you increase the number of 0,
Yes.
the p-value is exact p-value you can see. But if it is more than 30, then it is difficult to write that many 0. In that case, you can write the p-value less than 0.005, right? Actually, if you see the, sorry, I'll go to the interpretation. Yes. So can you see here, the p-value is 0.000. So actually it is not the 0.000. If you see, can you see the actual p-value is
0.0000.
yes, 504.
Yes, ma'am.
So you may report it the way it is written, or if it is, if till 3 point it is 0.000, then you may write because looking this p-value is a bit, that look will not be that good. So in that case, if the point exceeds more than 30, then you may write like 0.0 less than 0.05 or 0.005 or 0.01, right? Is it okay to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
This interpretation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You have
ma'am.
you have to double click that table of test statistics to get that p-value. Just double click that, and then if you just keep your cursor here, you can see the actual p-value. This is true for any table. And here you can see again the expected frequency is 19.3, the minimum expected. So your this you can apply this goodness of fit test. So this was the goodness of fit. Now I think before we give the breakout room, again I'll tell you the chi-square test of homogeneity, and then you can practice both in the breakout room. Okay, so is it okay to all of you? Then we may proceed to chi-square chi-square test of homogeneity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I'll go. So these are only the commands which we have shown. I've told you that. So this is again the same. While there are two ways to do this, but we are telling you to do this by legacy dialog because this is simpler and easy to understand. So please follow this legacy dialog. There is one another way to do it, but deliberately we are not telling you that. But results are same with both. So you have to go to the legacy dialog, then chi-square. Then in that option, you have to transfer the test variable. You have to enter the category like you have seen in the chi-square. And then this is the interpretation, and you have that word file with you where that interpretation is written. So all these commands are there with you in the PowerPoint presentations also. In case you forget, you may refer to that and you again can put the commands, right? And in case of your homework also, the exercise which will be given to you, you can again refer to these PowerPoint slides. So now the next is the chi-square test of homogeneity. So we did the chi-square test of association, which is known as the chi-square test of independence. The second is the chi-square test of goodness of fit. In chi-square test of association, what we were doing, we were checking the two categorical variables, their association with each other. In chi-square goodness of fit, there was a single categorical variable. The categorical variable could be a dichotomous variable or a polytomous variable, where it has got more than two categories. Now the third variant is the chi-square test of homogeneity. In the chi-square test of homogeneity, it is essential that you should have a 2 by 2 table. Here also, you will see that you have got a few research questions. So now we will start with the research questions. So if I want to know whether the proportion of BMI categories, that is normal or high, here you will see there are only two categories. I will not have a overweight, obese. If there are more than two categories, then there is some other test. But I am only telling you now with two categories. So if I want to know whether the proportion of BMI category of MBBS students of AIIMS Patna is equal to AIIMS Delhi. Means I have a value of some other institute, right? If I want to see whether it is equal to AIIMS Delhi or not, or if I want to see whether the SSI rate of different unit of surgery department is equal or different. So equal would be when I form a null hypothesis, and different will be when will be the alternate hypothesis. So the different unit, maybe you can, here you have to compare between two units. It cannot be different units. Between the two units of surgery and the SSI rate proportion, or whether if I want to see whether the proportion of COVID cases in rural or urban are same or different. So in this case, what we have observed that we are we are guessing the proportion of various categories of a nominal. No, it will be a dichotomous variable is equal in the different population or not, and the appropriate statistical test would be a chi-square test of homogeneity, also known as the chi-square test of proportion, or it is known as the two proportion test, right? So what are the underlying assumptions? So underlying assumption is that there would be one independent variable and there would be one dependent variable, but both will be measured on dichotomous. So there should be only two categories of both the variables. There should be independence of observation, like we have seen it with the chi-square test of association and chi-square test of goodness of fit. And again, there's certain type of sampling study design basically suitable for the cross-sectional study design, and the minimum sample size, that cell frequency should be less, it should be more than 5 or 5 in each table. So that is the chi-square test of homogeneity. This is just to, yes?
Ma'am, in the SSI, SSI rate example,
Yes.
Will the data be dichotomous? Will it be numeric?
Proportion who has got the surgical site infection. Surgical site infection, yes or no? Yes, and between two units.
Okay, so it is not rate. It's not percent people were infected.
Yes. It is not in number, it is in percentage. Surgical site infection present or absent.
Absent, okay.
So this is just to show you about the dichotomous proportion. So like if you randomly select 50 people from general population and you classify accordingly whether they had a heart attack or not. So if you found that there are 3 people out of 50 who have got an heart attack, then what will you do? The proportion is 3/50. So this is known as the population proportion. And you can also express that the 6% of the people in that area, R is missing here, have suffered a heart attack. So this is one way. Now you imagine that you randomly selected 50 males and 50 females from that area, and then you determine how many of these males and females had an heart attack. So in this case, if 2 females had a heart attack, the proportion of females would be 2/50, and the proportion of male, there are 8 males who have gotten heart attack, so 8/50. So we can say that more males have had heart attack, 0.16 versus 0.04. So chi-square test of homogeneity, it tests whether this difference is significant or this is by chance, right? Because you can see there are 2 proportions, 16% and 4%. These are quite different. So whether this difference is significant or not, this we test by chi-square test of homogeneity. So the hypothesis, the null hypothesis here is that the proportion of the outcome is equal in the 2 population, and the alternate hypothesis is that they are not equal. So there are basically 2 types of study designs where we use chi-square test of homogeneity. This is very important. The first is random assignment to treatment. Like you could take a sample of smokers and you randomly assign those smokers to 2 treatment group. One a group therapy and the other a hypnotherapy. And then after few weeks, you can measure the outcome measured as a person who has quit the smoking. So which intervention was more successful at getting people who could quit smoking? Because it will be measured in percentage. Percentage of people who could quit smoking, that was greater in which intervention? So you have to see the proportion of people in the two therapy, right? Whether it is a group therapy or a hypnotherapy. In that case, we can use a chi-square test of homogeneity, or if you are randomly sampling two independent population, like you have seen in the previous example, that we have chosen 50 male and 50 females deliberately from a population, and we want to see whether the proportion of heart attack or the outcome of the heart attack, what we have observed, the difference, is it statistically significant or it is by chance. Like again the sample 40 males and 40 females, and you can inquire about the preference of their sports, whether they like the competitive sports or they like the recreational sports. So basically there are two types of study design where it is common. The first is if we are assigning like 100 individual, if we are assigning randomly to the two group, and then when we are measuring the outcome as percentage, then we can apply chi-square test of homogeneity, or we choose the fixed number of people from a population and we want to see the outcome of anything. Like in this case, it is a preference of a competitive sport. In the previous case, you have seen that was the presence of that heart attack in male and female population. So in both the cases, we are testing proportion, but in first case, we take 100 sample and we randomize. And in the second case, we are taking the fixed number of people from each two population. So there is a difference in study design. So there are basically two types of study designs where we use this chi-square test of homogeneity, also known as the two proportion test. Because in both the cases, there are two proportion and there is a binomial category. Now, what is the command of this? This we will see later. I'll actually show you on the SPSS. So I'll go directly to the data sheet. So data sheet is same. And then we will go to the question. So, Nishant, yes, Dr. Nishant, you have raised your hand, or it was the older hand raise icon, maybe you have forgot to. Okay, so the question is, if you want to know whether the proportion of cardiovascular disease status in rural and urban population is equal or not. Okay, this is the question. So I will go to the data sheet. So it is the same data you can see here, which I have explained you. These are the coding. So for rural and urban, you can see 1 is for rural and 2 is for urban. And I want to see whether the CVD status is same in urban or rural or not, right? So both assumption is what? Both should be dichotomous variable. So residence is also dichotomous, 1 and 2, rural versus urban, and CVD also dichotomous. So first assumption we have met. Now coming to the command, go to the data view. Here you can see the analyze. This is same as the previous chi-square where we used to have 2 by 2 table. So chi-square goodness of fit, we go by the legacy dialog. That legacy dialog comes as a non-parametric, and then legacy dialog and then chi-square. So for only one sample chi-square or goodness of fit, we use this option. Otherwise, for homogeneity also, we go to the cross tab in the descriptive option and then click this cross tab. This is your, now again here is the role of the dependent and independent variable, because there is a column and there is a row. So you can see that you want to see the CVD status. So CVD will go to the column and residence will go to the rows because it is an independent variable. Now there are two options. I told you you have to focus on statistics and cells. Go to the statistics, click on chi-square. But here no need to click anything else. Like phi and Kramer we don't need to because you are not measuring association. Continue, go to the cells, observe, and you only want the row wise percentage. So just click this and then press OK. So you can see here that the cardiovascular disease, it was in the rural area, it was 71.9%. In urban area, it was 57.7%. And then you can see the value of chi-square is 0.04, which is, value, this chi-square is 4.22 with 1 degree of freedom. And this is significant, which is 0.04. So this is the way we interpret. Now, how to enter this value in the table format. So this is a APA style table. So a table starts with the title of the table, table number, and then writing the result. So this is the rural and urban. You can see here that 71% of the rural people were having CVD, whereas only 57.7% in the urban were having CVD. So the percentage of CVD was less in urban area. And the chi-square value you can see here. So one of you now can read this interpretation for me. Anyone? Maybe Dr. Pramod, because last time you were about to say, and then I think Mayuri said.
Okay, ma'am. Interpretation is 96 participants were taken from rural background and 97 from urban background. The test was to know whether the proportion of cardiovascular disease status are equal across residential status. The study showed that proportion is significantly higher in rural area, 71.9%, as compared to the urban area, 57.7%. P-value is significant, 0.04.
Oh, yes. So this is the way we interpret the chi-square test of homogeneity. So it is of two proportion only. So this chi-square, the two proportion test, that is applicable for two proportion. If we have got more than two proportion, then we have got another test that, that is chi-square only, but that is another variant of chi-square. But we are not telling you that. So we are only telling in this session, we have told you chi-square test of association or independence, chi-square test of goodness and fit, and third is a chi-square test of homogeneity or a two proportion test. So if you go back to the presentation and see it, so that was the...
Meher ma'am raised the hand.
Yes, Dr. Meher, may I have your question or any query?
My query is that, ma'am, what I'm getting, that chi-square test of homogeneity is basically used to test the difference of proportion between two variables taken from one population or from two population. How this test is different from the chi-square test of independence?
The research question is different. The
Hello?
research question, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, ma'am, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm hearing you.
The research question in both the two cases are different. There you want to see the association. That's why you are seeing the value of Kramer V and phi. Here you just want to see whether the proportion of these two are different in the proportion or not. And again, the next is the, yes. So the basic difference is in the research question, Dr. Meher. Research question is different and the study design too is different. Because study design, I have told you, there are basically two types of study design, which is applicable in this case. The first is that you have got in two intervention and you randomize the people in the two intervention, right? So that is one, but that intervention, obviously that won't be a cross-sectional. Here in this case, it is applicable for a randomized control trial also. Whereas in association, generally it is a type of cross-sectional study. So here, yes, study design has got a very important role in chi-square test of homogeneity. That can be tested only for two types of study design. I told you where you want to see the proportion of a successful treatment, yes or no, in either two treatment group, Or if you are selecting fixed number of people from a population, and if you want to see whether the difference in some outcome is same in these two population or indifferent. So you will see there that overall our research question focuses on comparing the proportion. It's not about seeing the association between the two. That's why the command is same. I mean, if you change the research question, the same research question, that the association of cardiovascular disease with place of residence, it can be there, right?
Yes,
Then the same command will applicable, the same 2x2 table I will make, but then what I'll write, I'll have that Kramer-Wein-5, I'll write in terms of association, and the study design would be different. But in this case, here I'm interested about the proportion, that which of the two group is having a different proportion, and the proportion which we are observing, either it is by chance or it's a statistically significant proportion. So when you are comparing the two proportion, either in two different study group, like I've said, you have taken the fixed number of people, but in that case the study design would be different, or you are randomizing the person for. So in this case, the same case, what I would have done, I would have chosen the fixed number of people from urban and rural. Okay. Whereas if it is a cross-sectional design, maybe I would have taken a number of people together and then I would have classified them. So the total number, it will have an unequal arm. Right. In case of association, you don't have an equal arm of 2x2 category. But in this case, in case of proportion, whether you are randomizing it to the two group, obviously it will have more or less same arm, or whether you are deliberately taking fixed number of individual from two people per, two population, it will have a fixed number of proportion. So the sample size would be almost, it will be a fixed number of people in both the category. That is not the case with association. In case if you have, if I have to do the association, then I would not take equal number of participants from urban and rural. Right? Are you getting my explanation? I don't know whether you get.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the interpretation. Got the clue also.
Okay. It's only about difference in whether you want to test two proportion, whether the difference in two proportion is same or not, and whether two proportions are different or same, or if they are different, whether it is statistically significant or not. Whereas in the first case, you want to see whether the two categorical variables are associated with each other. That's how the name is also different. The chi-square 2 proportion test we call, and the first test we call it as a chi-square test of association or independence. Right?
We should see the ma'am study design also, na?
Yes.
And research concept. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the sample, I told you regarding the number of arms. The individual, generally it is same. There will be a few, there can be 51 or 50 or something like that, but more or less it will have the fixed number of people. So study design carries a great value in, two proportion test.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that risk estimation, the risk estimation is also there. There are few confusing concepts in this risk estimation, especially the relative risk, because the SPSS gives both the relative risk and odds ratio in the same output. Remember, so it's you will see it how you can get confused while interpreting the relative risk and odds ratio. Generally, all practical purposes, we seldom determine the relative risk, because you know that relative risk, for relative risk to determine, we should have a cohort or a prospective study design. But again, we may have in any study design in our data. So I'll tell you both the interpretation of relative risk and odds ratio. I'll not go into the detail of these epidemiological concepts. So our this workshop focuses on the commands in SPSS and writing the interpretation. Okay. So this relative risk, a few concepts about relative risk, it is also known as the risk ratio or a rate ratio. And alternatively, we call it as a relative risk and relative rate. And it measures the strength of association between the two variables. Like we know from the undergraduate days that it is the risk of disease in exposed versus risk of disease in non-exposed. So the interpretation of relative risk, if it is relative risk value is 1, that means there is no association. If the value of relative risk is more than 1, that means it is a positive association, means that exposure is a risk factor. And if the value of relative risk is less than 1, then that means that particular exposure is protective factor, or we can say. And the similar interpretation holds true for the odds ratio also. So what are the underlying assumptions of relative risk? Relative risk, the first underlying assumption is that there should be one dichotomous variable and another dichotomous variable. So it is again both the variable should be of dichotomous in nature. Then the second assumption is that there should be independence of observation, and we have seen in all this chi-square and crosstab there should be independence of observation. The third assumption should be it is specific for a particular study design. We know that we never calculate this relative risk in case control study. Generally, it is in analytical cross-section studies, randomized control, and prospective studies, which is, it may be a prospective or a retrospective cohort study. I'm not going into the detail of this study design because our focus is mainly on SPSS analysis. So straight away from here, I'll go to the data sheet, because after this, you see the commands are there, that is for your reference. So I'll go to the SPSS data sheet. I'll first explain the data sheet to you. So this is a data view. If I go to the variable view, you can see this is the name, type of the variable, everywhere it is numeric. Width, you can see decimal, it is 0. You can have decimal, I mean, you can, because age is also, I want to take it in completed years. That's why I have put the 0 decimal here. And again, you can see the scale measurement. These are to the scale. The other is the nominal one. Role, you have to put it as a none, by it is not being corrected here. So you have to put the role as a none. And then this is the age. Gender is again the same coding. 1 is female and 2 is male. Please remember this, because we have to see the risk in male and female. So 1 is for female. In interpretation of relative risk and odds ratio, the coding is very important, because it tells you the risk and odds ratio with respect to the lower code and higher code, and we'll see in which respect it takes as a lower code and in which respect it takes as a higher code. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing, so I'll revise this twice so that there shouldn't be any room for confusion. So this is the gender. Then again, this is the BMI category 1, 2, and 3 that you know, 1, 2, and 3 overweight and obese. And then this is again CVD. So if I go to the question, so my question is, the first question is the calculate the risk estimates for gender and CVD status. So I have to calculate both the odds ratio and relative risk. So first I'll calculate the relative risk. So I'll go to the data set. This is my data set. This is my data view. So again, this is a crosstab. In risk estimate also, we have to make a crosstab. So I'll go to the analyze, descriptive, crosstab. So I'll reset this, because again, the same thing is there. But again, what is the dependent and independent variable? Here, the gender is the independent variable. So I have put that in row, and CVD status is in the column, right? So if you, again, the same, if you click this statistics, you can see here, now I will not click any of this and I will only click this risk. Can you see? So with this crosstab, we can take a lot of other things also. But here I will focus on risk, then continue. If you go to the cells, again, the observed count and the row-wise percentages I'm interested in. So I'll click that and then I'll click OK. So had it been an odds ratio, I would have done the same thing. Okay. So odds ratio and relative risk. So I think before I go to the interpretation, I'll just briefly tell you about the odds ratio also, because then I will explain both the things simultaneously in this output only. So I was telling you regarding this relative risk. So you know, so this I'm skipping. So now I'll come to the odds ratio. So what are the assumptions of odds ratio? Again, it has got the same assumption that there should be one dichotomous and both the variables should be dichotomous. There should be independence of observation, and it is basically true for the case control. I think by mistake it is the same slide. So it is basically we do it for a case control study, this odds ratio, or maybe it can be done for a analytical type of study also, analytical cross-sectional study. So we have seen the output of this. So if I go to the output, and if you see this, this is the first the cross tab. So you can see here that the risk. So the risk of cardiovascular disease, this is the present status. It is 52.4 in female, where it is 70.8% in male. So the presence of cardiovascular disease is more in male. So if I see this, the value of risk estimate. So the first value, first I'll tell you the relative risk. So this is the relative risk, or even we can discuss first the odds ratio also. You can see the odds ratio. So odds ratio, whenever the SPSS analyzes the odds ratio, it takes the lower category as a reference. And what I have told you, that in our case, 1 is for female and 2 is for male. So it will tell you the odds ratio of CVD in male as compared to female. So you can see here that the odds ratio of cardiovascular disease in male is 2.2 with a confidence interval of 1.18 to 4.1. An interpretation of confidence interval is that if the value of 1 comes in the confidence interval, then it is not significant for odds ratio and relative risk. So you can see here that it started from 1.1 and it went up till 4. So 1 is not coming between these two values. So this is significant, this odds ratio, right? So are you clear for this odds ratio? Remember this, that SPSS gives you the odds ratio in respect to the lower category, the lower coding. What do I mean by category? That the number of coding which you have given, it gives you the odds ratio of in respect to the lower code. So the lower code is female and higher code 2 is for male. So it tells you the risk of cardiovascular disease in male as compared to female. Now, this is odds ratio, and this is what we call it as a crude odds ratio or unadjusted odds ratio. In advanced data analysis, when we'll teach you the logistic regression, there you have the adjusted odds, because logistic regression also gives you the output in form of a odds ratio. But that odds ratio is the adjusted odds ratio because there are other dependent variable also, and it gives you the risk estimate by adjusting the other dependent variable, independent variable. Okay, so that is a adjusted odds. But whatever we are calculating it from a 2 by 2 table in chi-square, that is the unadjusted or crude odds ratio. Okay, so this was the interpretation for odds ratio. The SPSS gives you the odds ratio with respect to the lower category. Remember, lower category. That is the female here in our case. Now coming to the relative risk concept. The relative risk, you can see there are two rows here. For cohort cardiovascular disease absent and for cohort cardiovascular disease present. So no one is interested in the absence. We are always interested in present, like in whom the risk of cardiovascular disease was higher. So you can see here the relative risk takes the opposite coding into account. Means it tells you the risk with respect to the higher code. Means 0.74 is the risk of relative risk of cardiovascular disease in females as compared to male. That's why it is less, 0.74. So if you want to calculate it for male, what you do, you divide this value, you do 1 by 0.74. So if I am just opening a calculator here. So what I'll do, I'll divide this 1 by 0.74. So the relative risk is 1.35. And similarly, you can divide this lower and higher value of confidence interval also. So this is the relative risk. And similarly, if you calculate relative risk based on the formula, like we know, odds ratio will be calculated. You can present by this 2 by 2 table also. But we are not going to the detail of those calculation of formula. Just to repeat once again, the odds ratio is calculated, the SPSS calculates the odds ratio, taking the lower category. The relative risk calculates the opposite. It takes into account of the higher category. And this column tells you the risk of disease, cardiovascular disease present. So you have, what the one liner which you can remember, if you want to present relative risk, take the third row and divide this 1 by this value will be the value of your relative risk. Is it right? So if you go to the interpretation of this, then you can see that risk estimate for gender and cardiovascular disease, this is the female and male, and this is again the row-wise percentages which you have seen there. I think of a chi-square value by mistake, it has been, there shouldn't be any chi-square here. So the interpretation is, our results showed that the male had statistically significant higher odds of having cardiovascular disease as compared to female. The odds ratio with 95% confidence interval is 2.2, 2.2 and 1. I mean, odds ratio, this is the odds ratio. CI will be typed here. Odds ratio was, CI is this, and odds ratio is 1.81 to 4.101. If I go to the interpretation of risk estimate, then you can see here that this is the relative risk with 95% confidence interval. So the result showed that the female had significantly lower risk of having the cardiovascular disease. Alternatively, you can show that the male has significantly higher risk of cardiovascular disease. And relative risk, I told you, you have to divide this value 1 by this value will give you the this confidence interval and the relative risk value. Okay, is it clear to all of you? Just to summarize once again, the SPSS gives the outcome of relative risk and odds ratio in a single table, because you have to put the command descriptive crosstab, and in there crosstab. Yes, so this is there. So once you click this, you put the dependent and independent variable, then this output you can see. So in the single table, it gives you the odds ratio and relative risk. For odds ratio, it takes the lower coding as a reference. For relative risk, it takes the higher coding as a reference. So if you, I mean, generally we are interested in a disease outcome. So you have to, 1 by this value will give you the actual relative risk. Okay, is it clear to everyone? So just to show you one, that thing which you were asking, one of the participants regarding the confusion in the chi-square test of homogeneity, difference in proportion. So yes, generally it should have a same number of study subjects. So here you can see in the 2x2 table that the female is total 77, whereas male is 116. But still, if you have put that as a command, you can see that we can say that the 32.5% of the female had a recurrent history of MI, whereas if my research question is like if the history of recurrent MI is same in both male and female, then I can say that there is a difference in the proportion which was statistically significant. Okay. I don't, Ananya, you asked this question?
No, ma'am. I was clear, ma'am.
Okay. Mayuri?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, from this, can we say that males have higher risk of?
No, we cannot say the risk again. Don't use the term risk because risk is different. We can only say that the proportion of recurrent MI is high in male as compared to females.
So we have to say that according to this percentage. Which is
Yes, according to the percentage, because it's a test of two proportion. Remember, the another name of chi-square test of homogeneity is the chi-square test of two proportion. So you have to see the proportion, and the proportion you will always see row wise. Now there can be another study where you take the fixed number of MI, like from the two different population, and if you want to see that the percentage of male in that two population is similar or not, it can be done. So it depends on your research design, which population you take and which proportion do you want to predict or study. So your dependent, it is all about the dependent and independent variable. The moment you put your dependent variable in column, it is the row wise percentages which is important for you. Okay, I'll calculate the risk for this, then you will understand. You can calculate the risk also. Cross tab, it is gender and MI order, right? Here I'll put this risk. And then okay. In cells, again, it will be the observed and row wise percentages. And then I'll click OK. So their aim was to see whether the recurrent MI was more in male or more in female. Here you can see the risk. So you can see that the risk odds ratio is 2.7. So 2.7, I told you that it calculates the risk. It calculates the risk. So recurrent MI, because for the lower category. So it is telling that the male has got a higher risk of recurrent MI. And the similar thing which you can see here in female, it is giving you in the female 0.57. So you have to divide 1 by 0.57 to have a true risk. So for proportion, we cannot say the risk. For risk, you have to give another command. So I hope it is clear now. The only problem here is the study design, because both the arms are not equal. That is by mistake, because we have created this. So ideally in the sample size, you will take the fixed number of male and female. Or if you want to see the proportion of male into population, so you may take MI from like IGIMS, total number of MI cases in IGIMS, total number of MI cases in AIMS. And if you want to see whether the proportion of male is same in both the two cases, but again, you have to take similar number. So in that case, you can see that the IGIMS proportion of male and AIMS proportion of male in that MI is same or different. And if it is different, either it is statistically significant or not. Did you get, Mayuri?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think if it is clear to all of you, then we can end the session and conclude the session now. And we'll again meet on Monday at the same time, 1:30 p.m. Right? So good day to all of you. And I'm ending the meeting from my end.